I'm WG and this is going to be your ultimate Luke guide, giving you everything you need to know to take Luke from 0 to hero with right now our obligatory showcase. So what can you for example expect from this video? You'll have the ability to figure out that we are in fact in turn 1. This is still turn 1, these are all the cards we have played. If we go into our graveyard, you can see we have 10 cards right here, and then we have all these beautiful cards here as well. Everything in just one turn. And this is our cinema moment, and I'll obviously teach you exactly how you can get this, as well as even better rotations and everything else you need to know on how to make Luke work like this. So, let's wait for the obligatory 45 hitter, while also mentioning in our graveyard we have another one. We have another Dancer the Demon to add another 45 hits, and this build is only 70% complete. So, where are we? Where do we start? Where do we begin? Obviously, we begin with Luke. So let's learn about Luke and let me explain to you the two main builds, then we talk about the rest of the characters, we talk about Epiphanies, gear sets, you name it, partners, how important are ego manifestations and everything like that. So let's start it off with Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire is by far Luke's most conventional build, and that is just you simply going in and getting yourself as many copies of Rapid Fire possible, whereas for the Rapid Fire there are two ways for you to do it. Number one is going to be a 1-cost Rapid Fire that gives you 3 bullets and in total 4 attack cards with the Rapid Fire. Or number 2 is going to be the Rapid Fire that allows you to shoot it and then get it back into your hand. Yes, the retrieve tag disappears, but keep in mind we are only playing for 1 turn. So retrieve is actually pretty damn good, which allows us to spend, in this case, 2 AP, but walk away with 2 uses of Rapid Fire and 4 bullets total versus 1 Rapid Fire right here. This is also where already the first, you could say, a grindy part comes in. If you are willing to go that far, getting a Godly Epiphany on either Rapid Fire 3-shot or Rapid Fire Retrieve is absolutely possible, and that can then give you something, for example, like this. Let's do this right here. A Rapid Fire either in the 3-shot or in the 2-shot Retrieve variant with the 1-cost reduction. That means not only are you going to save yourself a whole bunch of AP, this Rapid Fire itself costs you 0 AP, can be used twice, you shoot twice with the Rapid Fire and you get yourself 4 bullets, all at the cost of no AP whatsoever. So these two are by far your main goal, and depending on how much AP you have, you don't even need the AP reduction. Then here, this one is just sad, like 1 hit, 1 crit, you don't want to use this Rapid Fire. This Rapid Fire turning into a bullet, you just miss out on that bullet shooting potential, and then with this one you could turn him into a draw support, but that is not what we're here for, nor is it particularly great. So that is Rapid Fire. Now the second build option, you can also freely combine the two of them, is the Stealth Reload. Now Stealth Reload, for the purpose of this, has you could say 2 things you really want to be looking out for. Either the 1-cost 3-bullet variant or the 2-cost 5-bullet variant. Important to note here, this one exhausts itself, meaning after turn 1 you won't be able to use them again, whereas this one you would be able to even use in turn 2 and the like. With Stealth Reload, this for like a multi-turn Luke, this is by far the best option because you get 2 bullets now, 2 bullets after, meaning 4 bullets for the price of 1 AP, but it is not as bursty when it comes to doing everything in one single turn. But these 3 are definitely the priorities here. You really don't need the bullet crit chance, and if you wanted to, you could thin your deck with the Stealth Reload 1 at the start of the turn, but keep in mind, the turn you play it, you get absolutely nothing. So that is then a Stealth Reload. Coming to Seize the Opportunity. For Seize of the Opportunity, this is by far the very best. You play it out and for 1 turn, all your bullets are going to deal plus 70% damage. So let's say a bullet has 30% damage, it's going to get plus 70, bringing it up to 100%. It is a massive, massive increase and only gets more and more the more bullets you use. So for example, if you shoot 20 bullets, this is a 1400% damage increase. Then we have ourselves the Seize the Opportunity plus 30% handgun bullet card damage as a upgrade card, which does something similar to this, but for the whole duration of the fight, just as around 40% the value. So depending on if you're playing multi-turn or just one turn Luke, this is better, or this one suits you better. And then this is your, you could say, your third, your escape option, and that is increasing the damage of the next attack card used, giving us the perfect segue into Luke's most important card, Luke's most clip farming potential, and that is the Dance of the Demon. Now, for the Dance of the Demon, depending on who you're facing, you have three options, right? If you're facing a order enemy, this is the preferred option because you're getting an additional 50% damage to the Dance of the Demon just freely from being able to fight somebody that's type vulnerable, giving you the highest base percentage, you could say. But in most cases, you're going to be between one of two. Number one is the Dance of the Demon, 90% for each bullet card used this turn. One extra hit. This is the most Luke-centric, and the better your Luke build, the better this Dance of the Demon. The more bullet generation you have, either through the retrieve rapid fires or through multi-bullet creation, the better this card becomes. But by far the strongest Luke card in existence, the one with the most potential, is this. This Dance of the Demon gets one extra hit per attack card used this turn. Doesn't have to be Luke attack cards. So for example, for this Dance of the Demon, if we think about it, for this Dance of the Demon, using this rapid fire gives you one attack by using the rapid fire, 2 bullets that then give you a total of 3. The card comes back, you use it again, all of a sudden one rapid fire card gives you 6 extra shots for the Dance of the Demon. So by far, if you wanted to crown your deck with either the Dance of the Demon as your highest priority with the attack card variant, or then the multi-damage bullet, or I guess if you're fighting order, this Dance of the Demon. So, now that we have this out of the way, finisher bullet kind of just exists. You just deal a big amount of damage, and when you have handgun bullets, or when you use 4 handgun bullets, it becomes usable, 0 cost card. You pretty much just use it and you'll be fine. So, those were the Luke cards. Now let's quickly go through the rest here. First off, potential. Luke's most important potential is actually the common potential, and the reason being is Luke is the only character in the game that creates cards that are considered common cards. So your first priority is leveling up Luke's common card potential so that your bullets deal more damage, whereas then your second priority is going to be your unique card potential, which increases the damage of your rapid fires and increases the damage of your Dance of the Demon. But it is not as important because we're talking about smaller multipliers, whereas then we have the crit chance talent. The higher your Luke's crit chance, the better the outcome, and the reason being for that is Luke's golden threshold of crit chance, either through a combination of just stats or with a partner, is you want to hit 50%. The reason why you want to hit 50% is if your crit chance is any lower than a combined 50%, you don't have 100% crit chance on rapid fire, meaning you're going to be losing out on valuable bullets. So 50% is really what you want to be aiming for, which is where a additional up to 10% crit chance from the potential can come in helpful. You can also then start working on getting more crit damage, but no, this is also pretty dang good. And that is Luke's unique stat upgrade says that if Luke's crit chance is greater than 40%, this is important, this has to come from your stats, this cannot come from a partner, this cannot come from a gear piece going into a chaos run, this has to come from your stats. If you hit the 40% crit chance threshold, it can come from this potential, right, as a support, you get 3% handgun damage. Then for every 5% above that, you get an additional 2%, going to a maximum value of 70% crit chance on a Luke, giving you a grand total of 15% handgun bullet damage. So for example, my Luke right here has 54.2%, which means we are very close to getting the third upgrade, but our current Luke only gets 3% from being above 40, and then further 4% from 2 times 5% above 40. So our Luke has 7% extra bullet damage. So now that we have the potential out of the way, let's talk about memory fragments. So memory fragments, by far Luke's best set is going to be his order set. Not only for one-turn kills or for anything else, but Luke's order set is really what you want to get, and that is because when an attack card is used, you increase the damage of order cards by a multiplicative 10% as a separate damage increase, and that one stacks up to 2 times. So for example, if you shoot 1 rapid fire and 1 bullet, you're already at the maximum value of this set, and it's going to stay active throughout the whole duration of the fight. And then the best 2-piece is going to be your plus 25% crit damage, and if you can't get that, then you go with the plus 12% attack. So main stat, substat wise, let's have a look. So your main stat priority for your right side is going to be attack percent, then order damage, and then crit chance. This is very, very important. Even if you can't get these fit out perfectly, at least make sure you have a crit chance main stat piece so that you can get the so you can work on getting towards that 40% crit chance. Like if you max out a Luke's crit chance potential and you give him a crit chance necklace, you're already at 37%, meaning you only need to get 3% from substats to hit the 40% threshold for example, the bullet damage. So that is then the main stats, or I guess the substats here. And then substats, right? The substats you're really looking for are the usual: the crit chance, crit damage, attack flat, attack percent, and then technically even extra attack damage. And the reason why extra attack damage is because Luke has 1 bullet that applies Mark, and Mark is a follow-up attack that triggers whenever you use an attack card, and it does extra attack damage. So if, for example, you find yourself with a bunch of extra attack damage, it can come in quite helpful, but it's by no means the most important stat to look for. So this is, for example, the stats we have on our Luke. You have your 3% base crit chance, your 10% from the potential, and then we have an additional 41.2% from our gear, meaning 27 here, and then 14.2 from all the other 5 pieces, meaning an average of around 2.5 whatever percent. And then we also have 63.3% crit chance, whereas 25% comes from the set, and then the rest comes from pieces like, for example, right here, 5.9% crit damage, 9.8% crit damage, 7.4% crit damage, 3.5% crit damage, and also a 3.3% crit damage. So that is Luke's memory fragments. So now let's talk about Manifest Ego. Manifest Ego, how important is this really, and do you need a Luke E1, E2, E3, E4, E whatever to pull this off? The answer is not really. So what this does is this just adds more damage to finish a round, which is not that important, and it also allows you to use it after 4 bullet cards rather than 4. You can find ways around this with this build. There's no need for you to get this. And now the E2. If Luke uses 3 handgun bullets, you create 2 bullets. Sounds pretty overpowered. The only limitation is the fact that it's once per turn, meaning this whole Luke scenario for us realistically only adds 2 extra attacks at the end of the bullet demon. So it is something you can stomach. It is not something you need, but it is fantastic quality of life, and you could almost say a little bit required in having an easier time in playing Luke in a chaos run. And that is because there you're not really going to get like a one-turn build instantly, but you'll be able to like more reliably get into more bullets, get yourself out of sticky situations. And then we like all these other, like Luke's Epiphanies or Luke's Ego manifestations are one of the strongest in the entire game. This E3 might be the biggest letdown out of all of them besides the E5, and that is you just deal an additional 25% per card in hand, meaning at a 10 card hand limit. If you use this with a full hand, you get plus 250%, meaning the whole attack does 600% damage, which is quite okay, but it's nothing special. Now here this whole thing starts, and that is whenever Luke uses a bullet card, you gain target analysis for 1 turn plus 10% bullet card damage, and that is per bullet. So the first one gives you plus 10, second one plus 20, third one plus 30, fourth one plus 40, and then this stays for the whole duration of the fight, right? So every single bullet used after would gain an extra damage boost. Here you just get a 6% damage increase to common cards, so your bullets, your unique cards, and then your basic cards. And then the E6 is really ridiculous. What it does, it changes it from a 10% to a 15% stack, meaning you go from a 40% to a 60% maximum percentage damage increase, and then you also get a brand new bullet. This HVAP round is ephemeral, meaning if you If you don't play it, it exhausts itself. If you play it, it exhausts itself. But what it does is it's a bullet. It is weakness attack, meaning it's always guaranteed to be type effective against no matter what you attack. It has a 240% base damage value, which is absolutely ridiculous, and it is guaranteed to crit, while also getting created each time you use 12 bullets with no limit for how many bullets you can play and how many of these H-webs you can get in a fight. This is going to be like, if you want to go for one character and just invest into one character, Luke's ego manifestations are probably by far the best. Okay, so now that we have all this shenanigan out of the way, let's talk about the partner. Luke's best partner, and especially for this strategy here, is no doubt about it going to be Janet. And the reason why is not only do you get 9% crit chance for your rapid fires, which can help you hit that 50% golden threshold, but also for your Dancer the Demon or your bullets in general, just massively increasing our crit chance for all of our Luke cards from our, what we have here, 45.2 to a 63.2% chance, meaning we are damn likely to crit. And then this is the important part here. When the assigned combatant uses 5 bullet cards, create a random handgun bullet, increase the damage of that bullet by 50%. So that means every 5 bullets you use, you get a 6th. Now with that 6th, you can then play 4 other bullets to get to 10, to get an 11th. Then you play 4 other bullets to get to 15, to get a 16th. So every 5 bullets you get an additional one, and starting from bullet 5, the one bullet you play after getting it obviously counts into getting the next one, kind of reducing the need from 5 to 4. So Janet is really damn sweet here, and she can give you again an additional 3 to 4 to potentially 5 hits for our whole combo shenanigan. So this is everything you need to know about Luke, and let's have a look at the deck we are actually going to be using later here. I haven't yet been able to find a zero cost retrieve deck, nor have I been able to find a zero cost triple rapid fire deck. What I was able to get my hands on is a stealth reload exhaust 5 cost, and then a godly epiphany that reduces this cost twice, meaning I only need to pay 4 instead of a grand total of 6 to pull this off. It's not the strongest Luke version, but it gets the job done. Then, as we talked about it, we have the Seize of the Opportunity for amount of next attack card used, which I'm always going to try to be using on a Dancer the Demon. So I kind of missed out on the 70% bullet or the 30% bullet damage, which honestly is what it is. But at least we got ourselves a sweet monster card, which can help us draw a bunch of cards. And the reason why the Forbidden Portrait of Fury is so good on Luke is because Luke is one of the few characters who can hit the 8 card mark. The reason why 8 cards is so important is because you either pull yourself 1 card, 2 cards, or too many cards. Unless you have exactly 8 cards in hand, this card included, then you play the card out and you draw yourself 3. So being able to manage your hand size up towards that 8 and play around with that is quite important in using the Portrait of the Fury. So it's a card you can be on the lookout for. And then items we found ourselves is the Amorphous Cube, which just gives us plus 25% damage to any of our cards. So Dancers of the Demon, our bullets, it's just pretty damn strong. The only upgrade would be the Emblem of Exception and Entity, which is just plus 5%, so plus 30 instead of plus 25. And then the most reliable weapon I found outside of like a Cthulhu weapon or the zero cost plus 40% damage increase from the seasonal data is this one, and that is when there are 4 more cards in hand, you just increase the damage you deal by 30%. And due to Luke just giving you a whole bunch of cards, due to the way we play this is active for most of the time. And then we found ourselves the Fragment of the Empty Void, discard up to 3, draw 3. So it's a mix of save data, and what you should have noticed by this save data is this shit is fucking expensive. So now that we yapped for 20 minutes about Luke, because it's really important that you understand how he works, we need to yap about our next character, and that is Cassius. Cassius is the engine that takes Luke from 0 to hero without any complications. And the reason for that is Cassius's quests, and one quest in particular, and that is the 000 quest. The 000 quest says that you finish this quest after playing 3 0 cost cards, Luke's bullets are 0 cost, and then you create a 000. This 000 is an attack card and it also increases in damage for each attack card used this turn, which can get really damn disgusting. And this Cassius can comfortably hit around 1000, 2000, even 3000 damage with one 000 after you've played enough cards. So this is the 000 quest. Now, what else can you do with the Cassius after completing a quest besides just stacking up the Dance of the Demon hits? The answer lies in Cassius's potential. Cassius is, in my opinion, the only, number one, the only support, and number two, the only Forster in the entire game besides, I don't know, maybe Chesser, that you should consider taking up to level 60 as soon as you can. What we've done here is our Cassius is, as you can see, level 52 out of 60, and the reason why it's all worth it lies in this potential. On quest completion, gain 1 morale for 1 turn. Every single time we play 3 0 cost cards, we get 1 morale. And if Cassius's health is greater than 700, we also gain a fortitude, so we would become even more tanky the more times we create this quest, which could also help us deal with backlashes from boss damage and the like. So that is our saves, our Cassius. Now, how do you take advantage of that and which are the cards you want to be looking out for on a Cassius? You have 2 choices for this Pop-Eyed Popper, and that is you either find yourself the initiation, start a random quest, and then every time you don't hit 000, you can just restart the run, or you find yourself the choose 1 out of 4 quest to start, and then every time you find this card you can easily pick the 000, and then you either refresh until you get it or you sacrifice a bit of damage for just getting the card later and then starting the 000 quest. So that's the Pop-Eyed Popper. Then we have the Devil Dice, and the Devil Dice has one of the most disgusting cards in the entire game, and that is this one. Oh, Cassius has undoubtedly the strongest card in the entire game if you can get it. I haven't yet been able to get it, but it's something of like a holy grail that you can always be hunting for, and that is a Devil Dice with Retrieve with the reduce to 1, reduce cost by 1. What that gives you is a Devil Dice at 0 cost that you can play 4 times in a single turn, drawing you 4 cards at no cost, while also completing a entire Cassius play 0 cost quest on his own, creating you a further 000. And now think about the possibilities of further also getting copies of this. You could get 4, 8, 12, up to 16 draw at no cost whatsoever. This card is Cassius's holy grail. It's not something I've been able to get, but maybe you are lucky enough to get it, or maybe I get it in the future. So after this unrealistic Cassius glaze, what are your more realistic options going to be? For me personally, I prefer to use the 0 cost Devil Dice that just draws me 1, because it's just a 0 cost card, it draws me 1, it replaces itself, and it also works towards the quest. And then we have ourselves the Shuffle. Now for the Shuffle, there's a couple options that are great, but by far the strongest is this Shuffle right here, at least in a 1-turn setup, and that is the you move all cards from your hand and discard pile to the draw pile, meaning whatever you've discarded goes back into your pile and can be drawn again, while also drawing you 5, meaning if this card is the last card in your hand, or no matter when you play it, you're always going to be drawing 5 at just 1 AP. This card itself could also get a AP Epiphany, Godly Epiphany, right, or Cost Reduction Epiphany or whatever, but this card is truly damn powerful, whereas then other options could, for example, be the discard any number of cards from hand and then draw the same number, which could give you a bunch of card draw depending on how many cards you have in hand. The same would also be true with the Shuffle that discards all cards and then allows you to draw with the double exhaust, but this is the one I found to be the most consistent, but these two are also fantastic options. Bringing us to Dice Trick. So for Dice Trick, this is where it gets really crazy. I haven't been able to get a deck like that yet, but look at this quest and think about the implications. Whenever a quest is completed, you get an additional quest card. Now, all of these quest cards are pretty damn awesome. they cost you nothing and they have varying effects. So for example, we complete a 000, we could get another 000 card, we could get a 111 card. The benefits of these two are again another attack card, giving us another hit for our Dance of the Demon, while also either dealing a ridiculous amount of damage or even providing some healing. And then we have these banger cards. For 1 turn, an additional 2 morale, 2 resolve and 2 fortitude for the straight, or an additional draw, all at 0 cost, and that is just by having this simple dice trick upgrade that just gives us an additional quest every time we finish one. So this is by far the dream quest you want to get, but if you can't get it, what I used is, I think I have an unepiphanied one, but the decreasing the cost by the number of completed quests is also totally fine, because you're going to be completing a whole bunch of quests, or even this one, plus 80% damage amount for each completed quest, can stack to ridiculous margins. So that is a Cassius' quest card, and then you just have your simple solid joker that allows you to draw from the draw pile or discard pile and move a card to hand, whereas the manifest egos, if you want your joker to be better in being able to get the discard pile as well, E1 is quite nice, but it's not required if you play your hand properly. The E2 you only really need when you're playing him in a chaos run as the only healer, otherwise he doesn't really have a lot of heal ability. The E3 is unimportant. The E4 is also irrelevant, giving you more morale reduction. It's not that great. And then here, this would be whenever Cassius completes a quest, apply 1 morale reduction to all enemies, which can really help you in a chaos run or even in a fight, and synergizes really well with completing multiple 000 runs or multiple 000 rotations, right? So that is Cassius right here. Whereas then for Cassius's partner, the most obvious partner is going to be Nyx, but we actually have him on a Yuri right here, and that is because we're out for that ego skill. It will all make sense in a bit, but by far the best partners are going to be Arven and Nyx. So that is Cassius. So now, and then here we have ourselves our Cassius fragments. You can, if you play him into chaos, you play him like a standard support. So for example, like our Mika, where you go with the HP set and the defense set, and you just give him as much health and as much defense as possible, and you kind of try to hit that like 700 threshold for the potential. But if you take him outside of that, you can also easily play him as a DPS, where you just give him the standard DPS 2-2-2 set treatment, or even potentially giving him an instinct 4-piece, and that is just so that you can deal the most amount of damage possible. Main sets are pretty much the same, with attack, then your instinct damage, and then your crit chance. And yeah, the instinct 4 set could be really nasty on Cassius here, and we're actually going to be using him on Yuri partner. That is just so we have a higher chance of getting Yuri on our ego skill. But if you wanted Cassius to do the most amount of damage, what you could do is you could find him a offensive partner that is off element, like for example somebody like a Scarlet, just for that massive increase to attack, which increases his damage massively. Let's talk about the unit that puts this all together, and that is our Mika. Our Mika has a super simple, a super straightforward deck, and the reason why I even need Mika, you could also try to get yourself like a perfect Veronica build. The reason why I am using Mika is because my Luke is pretty fucking expensive. You might have seen it in the cards, but stealth reloads, these cost us 4, and if we want to play both Dance of the Demons while also playing the rapid fire, we need ourselves at minimum 8 AP to fully play this deck, so that's why we need Mika to help us with our AP. Now, how can she do that? First off, we have her on Superconductive Protein, giving us 1 card being changed to 0, which for example, if it goes on a retrieve card, changes the card even when it comes back into your hand. We have a exhaust, Source of the Water. If you can, getting multiple of this makes this whole thing a whole lot easier, because it costs you nothing, gives you 3 AP, and you're playing 1 turn most of the time anyway, so that works quite well. Keep in mind, the whole thing you're about to see is like a 1-turn deck, but if you don't pick any exhaust options for Luke, you can also just play the same turn 2 again, because most of the things don't really rely on any exhausts. And then we have ourselves a tactical analysis, only point is 0 cost, giving us wave, giving us AP. And then we have ourselves the savior for my deck and the Cassius playstyle, and that is Eternal Hunger. Every time we draw this, we get 1 AP and we draw 1. And the way this works is it is retain, and it doesn't have any effect on when you play it, but if you can draw this card multiple times, the value just keeps skyrocketing. And the way we do this is, we've already briefly talked about it, but we have ourselves a Cassius, and he has a shuffle. And this shuffle takes our Forbidden Eternal Hunger, and no matter where it is, even in our hand, in a discard pile, and just moves it back into the deck, allowing us to draw it again, allowing us to up to 3 times get the effect of this card per run, meaning 3 draw, 3 AP at 0 cost, no questions asked. So that is then our Mika, and then Deluge is unimportant. It could have also been a basic attack, it really doesn't do anything. We have ourselves a Reorganize, just a solid card draw at 1. You could also find something like a Gear Bag to get 2 card draw at 0. And then we have a Confiscation so that we can pick ourselves a forbidden card out of our deck, like the Eternal Hunger if we need to draw it. And also a 0 cost 1 card draw, again being a 0 cost card, helping us with getting that 000 quest line. So that is pretty much that. Sources of water, yeah, the main one really is the exhaust one, but if you want something a bit more sustainable, you can also try, for example, the 2 AP and reduces cost by 1 when recovering, which could give you 2 AP at no cost, or just the standard 1 AP 1 wave. And Tactical Analysis, yeah, any of the 2 wave options is fine, even the upgrade one, because you're only playing for 1 turn. Or you could try out this card when an own card is used 1 wave for 1 turn. If you get this with multiple copies, it could be quite a lot of AP, seeing as how you play all your Mika cards. Now, Mika's potential is completely irrelevant. Mika's memory fragments are also completely irrelevant. Full defense, full health, it doesn't make a difference. Alright, so now that you stuck through this whole thing, how do you actually pull it off? Keep in mind, it's one of the more complex decks, and that's because you need to manage your hand size. I'll be trying to teach you as much as possible throughout the duration of this fight, so you aren't as lost on what you should and shouldn't do, while always keep in mind 10 is the magic number. 10 is the hand size. So here we start our turn, we get the ability to just get rid of some cards. So for example, we get rid of these 3, and our goal here is, you can see we've pulled the Eternal Hunger, giving us an extra AP. Our goal would be to find the quest card as soon as possible. If I don't find the quest card turn 1, I usually just can restart. It just depends on how cinematic do you want this to look, because depending on how you play the rotation, you might end up with slightly more or slightly less damage. So we found ourselves our Pop-Eye Popper with the Joker. We can then get ourselves the 000 quest, and now we count our hand. You don't, if you're playing Stealth Reload, or whatever you do, you want to make sure you have enough hand size to actually play out your bullets. So we play our cards here, we get ourselves 5 hand cards, and then we play our 3 bullets here, and as you notice, we get the 2 bullets from the E2, but those will mainly just go into the background, and here we get ourselves an additional partner bullet. So now that we have this out of the way, we can use our rapid fire, which has been reduced from the protein from Mika. We again always try to make sure that our hand size doesn't go above 10. And then we already have ourselves, you can see, 5 quest completions, meaning 5 morale, meaning 5 000s, and each of these 000s already does 478% and is going to further boost the other 000s. So just look at this beautiful Cassius damage right here. Important to note, quests do not count for quest completion, and otherwise we would have gotten already another quest completion out of this. So now we have our shuffle, we have our Forbidden Eternal Hunger in our hand, and then boom, we put it back into our deck, and then we pull ourselves some more cards. And what I'm going to be trying here first is, we actually have 2 forbidden cards in here, right? We have ourselves the Portrait of Fury, and we also have ourselves the Forbidden Eternal Hunger. Preferably with every card rotation, we want to get the Eternal Hunger just to squeeze the most value out of it. So we can, for example, try to use the Devil Dice here to draw into it, then try the Reorganize to see if we can maybe draw into it. And as you can see, we drew ourselves the Forbidden Portrait of Fury, meaning if we now use the Confiscation, we are guaranteed to find our other monster card, giving us the extra AP, giving us the extra draw. And now our hand size, once again, it's a bit hard to see, but I always like to count until the 5 and then just count the end, like always see that like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which means we have 4 additional ones, meaning this is a hand size of 9. So what we can do here now is use the Source of Water to reduce our hand size down to 8, it goes back up to 9 with 000. Here we use our 000. We can then use our Forbidden Portrait of Fury. As we talked about, we always really want to use it when we have a hand size of 8. So we get the triple hitter, the triple draw, tactical analysis to give ourselves AAP by filling up our wave meter. And then here we can get rid of, for example, one of our, just 0 cost cards. And then, we also only have 2 more cards to draw. Meaning if we, for example, use this skill, we are pretty damn likely to draw into any combination of this that allows us to actually continue with our turn. So one of the problems here now actually is we might have too many cards in hand, right? We cannot really play out the stealth reload without actually getting blocked by hand size, right? You can see we have 8 cards in hand. So what we can do here, for example, is we can get rid of 1 Dance of the Demon. It's going to be less satisfying, but it's also overall going to be technically more damage. So we shoot 1 Dance of the Demon, which gives us also extra stacking damage bonus for the other Dance of the Demon. We can then use the Stealth Reload, which gets slightly reduced to only 4 drawn cards, but it's better than none. And as you can see, we also again slightly went over the limit with our bullet cards. We can then also use a Stealth Reload here again to get some extra shots in. You can really see like this damage stacking up, and what you might also notice is we could technically already kill here with the Cassius. Look at this, 1111%. This is 2000% damage in our hand right here at 0 cost whatsoever. But we aren't done yet. We want to be a little more silly about this. So what we do is we do our extra 2 draw ourselves our devil dice, which we can use to get another hit in. Then we can also do the attack right here, which is another 0 cost. And then we can shuffle our hand. So usually I would like to, for example, use this card, but just for the purpose of seeing how this works, we're going to shuffle our hand, get all our cards back into our deck, and hope we draw into a Dance of the Demon, as well as potentially 1 AP. You can see that didn't quite work. So unfortunately, we'll just have to end it with 1 big boom. So here we go, 40 shot, 203%. As I said, or as you might have been able to tell from this deck already, that there's still a lot of ways you can improve this deck, a lot of ways you can play more attack cards, and a lot of ways you can have this whole shenanigan do more damage. But for now, this is what we have. We can also use 1 Forbidden Eternal Hunger, 1 more, to get 1 more extra morale stack. You see our morale is at 11. Keep in mind we don't have the dice trick upgrade, so our morale could be even higher. And then we just use a Luke to finish the guy off. I do find it interesting that the damage calculation resets if you reset out of a turn. But yeah, this is 1 single use of our Dance of the Demon, and it's done 19,194 damage on its own. And that is without us having 3 Cassius cards at 1000% each, adding a further 6000% damage. So I hope I was able to enlighten you a little bit on this. We might even do a bit more of a deep dive on Cassius. And I hope you were able to follow along and learn something from this, even though this turned into a longer video. But it's really important for you to understand how it works, so you don't get frustrated with your Luke, and so that you don't start wondering, okay, what the hell is actually going on. It's really about hand size management, just playing into the perfect rotations, and just getting big damage.